All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Live Boldly with Sara. Today, we're going to be talking about relationships and dating. I am turning 50 in just a couple weeks. And so thank you to Kathy and Michelle that asked me, my former clients, to please jump in and have this conversation with all of you. And I welcome all of you to go grab your journal and take notes because there's going to be a lot of great shit in this episode. Yesterday, I recorded an episode with John Kim, aka the Angry Therapist, on Instagram. That's his handle, and his partner, Vanessa Bennett. Awesome episode. I cannot wait to release it for all of you. We dove yesterday into attachment theories, love languages, sex. And after that conversation, I was on a call with Kathy and Michelle, right, who I just mentioned. And I was telling them about this conversation that I had with Vanessa and John. And they were like, could you please do an episode yourself about dating and relationships so that, you know, all of us out here that are diving into this at some point and or right now can have a better understanding? And I'm like, sure, let's dive in. So there's something that I use myself, and it's called, ready for this? Write this down, falling forward. Falling forward in relationships is not falling on your face. Falling forward in relationships means you are learning from every relationship prior to. It is a classroom. It is one of the best classrooms that you could possibly be in. When a relationship does not work out as you thought it would, do not shove it under the rug and just like toss it aside and say, well, that sucked. Like, I don't want to learn from that or anything. That is your classroom. You learn more deeply about yourself, what you want, your worthiness, self-love, self-compassion. There's so much that we can learn from every single relationship that we have been in, right? So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as my mother used to say. Use that as a space to really dive into, what do I need? What do I want? What did I learn from that relationship? You are the student and the teacher. And what I mean by that is you are the student of the learnings that you have had within that relationship, and you are teaching yourself how to be better within the next relationship that you are going to eventually step into. Now, that doesn't even have to be in an intimate relationship. This could be in the next relationship within work, within friendships, within family, whatever it is, right? I think falling forward has been one of the best terms that I have created in my life, because it's not about falling flat on your face. Like I said, this is a falling forward into the next best thing. Now, I honestly never thought I'd still be, I'm going to be very honest here. I never thought I'd still be single. Like, I'm like dating, never thought that it was going to be this hard, right? I thought, oh, well, okay. Like, I mean, I'm 10 years out. I'm turning 50. My trauma happened at 40. I got divorced. Was I 43 when I got divorced? I think I was. That was a long divorce because California is whacked. I'm just going to say it. So it was a little bit longer divorce than I thought it was going to be. That said, I've been out of this relationship for pushing 10 years. And dating has been one of the coolest places of exploration for what I want and how I really want to be in a relationship with somebody someday. And it will happen. Yesterday, during this episode, John asked me about, well, you know, dating, or are you dating, or are you single, or something to that effect. And I said, yeah, I'm single. I'm happily single. And there's not a but, there's an and. I do want to be in a relationship, in a partnership down the line. What dating has taught me is what I will and will not accept within a relationship. And I have had some hard ass relationships. Let me tell you, there has been, I think that's actually one of the coolest things for all of us to be very honest about as well, is that when you've come out of a relationship that was really hard for me, it was 17 years of marriage. I was with him for far longer than that. But it was 17 years of marriage. And for 14 of them, there was betrayal going on that I didn't know about. Right. And so that's a lot to unpack, by the way. That is some serious luggage right there. That's like multiple luggages to unpack, right? And to pull the shit out and then find all of a sudden, you know what? It's like a piece of luggage that has all these different parts within the luggage that you don't know. It's like hidden compartments, right? And then you're like, well, shit, there's that compartment. Now I got to pull that out. And then there's that compartment and I got to pull that out. And right now it's like I have this big piece of empty luggage, which is super cool because I get to create whatever I want with it and have that partner be with me within this next adventurous space of my life, right? That's what relationships teach you. It is like And so diving into that. So coming out of my marriage, right, that was really hard. And then I stepped into a relationship that was really shitty. The next one, and it was short. It was very, very short. I did have one really good one in there that I was like, ooh, I like you. Like, this is awesome. And unfortunately, there were attachment issues. It was some attachment shit that he had to work through. And so I couldn't stay in it. And I had to walk out of that relationship. And that to this day has been very, very hard for me because I really liked him. Like, I thought he was super cool and we had a lot in common. You cannot be in a really good, deep, healthy relationship if there is not that connection, which is why we dove into this with John and Vanessa. You need that healthy connection, because connection, attachment, it is a dance. And we want to be able to dance to that secure attachment, right? We want to be able to walk towards that secure attachment. It needs to have two people that are willing to work on their attachment styles in order to get there, right? And so that's what that relationship taught me, was that I can't force anything. I can't pull somebody towards me when they're having attachment issues. And so releasing that and saying, you know what, I wish you the best. That was hard, man. That was hard. Still to this day, it's hard. And then I also got into other relationships along the way that I look back on. I'm like, what the F was I thinking? Well, I was thinking that I still needed to learn, because you will be handed that same lesson over and over and over again until you learn the damn lesson. My last relationship, yeah, that one, if any of you followed along on my Instagram, I learned something. Do not put somebody in your Instagram into your social media until you know, like 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 you know, that there is going to be something that's going to come from that, right? One thing that I learned, and I talked to my former therapist about that relationship a lot, was you don't really know anybody for 6 months. For those first 6 months, you're on a lot of your best behavior, right? And so it takes those first 6 months to uncover the red flags, the pink flags, to be able to make sense of them, to see if they're worth, if you're like going to be able to dive into them. And then also to be able to recognize all of the white flags, the things within that relationship that you're like, ooh, I love this. This is yes, 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 and more of yes. And to be able to dance that dance with one another within those first 6 months of that relationship to see, is this going to work? Is this like worthy of, is this something that I want to step further into? Now, it takes, in what I've found, approximately 2 years to really know somebody, especially at this age, like midlife, right? Because we all come with something. And so being able to dive into all of that, it takes a little bit. Now, in my last relationship, I learned, do not put them on your social media, because here's the other thing to this. And I was talking to somebody else about this today. You then start getting influenced by the external, right? Because people are seeing this and they're like, ooh, yes, I love that she's so happy. And they're like, yes, 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 right? They're like, I like this, I like this. And they're commenting and giving you all of this great feedback, right? And so then you start having this like external, not pressure necessarily, but another opinion, right? That starts to come into it. And so then you're like, ooh, okay, well, everybody else thinks that this is okay. You really need to know yourself. Like, you need to dive into that, just you, with this other person, to be able to decide, is this something that I want to fully step into or not? Now, this is my experience with this. Okay. So use whatever works for you, pull out the golden nuggets that you're like, ooh, I like that. And I like that. And I like that. And write those down, because this has been my experience with relationships. Now, here's the coolest thing. As you were unpacking everything from your past, right? You are looking at that luggage that we all carry, and you're like, okay, pulling out all those compartments and learning more deeply about yourself through the relationships that you've been in. I want to remind you, first of all, that the number one most important relationship that you can be in is that one with yourself. So through the relationships that you've been in, you're learning more deeply about who you are as a human being. That is the coolest thing ever. And then when you are ready and you are standing there and you're saying, yes, I am ready for that partner. I am ready to fully be myself with another human being. Make sure that that human being that is coming into your space is somebody that matches you in a way that allows you to rise into that next best layer, this next best version of you going down this next phase, whatever, of your life, right? And so, John asked me yesterday a really important question, and I've sat with this myself. He said, you're an adventurer. Does that next person that comes into your life have to be that adventurer like you are? And my response to that is no, absolutely not. How I look at a relationship is a dance with somebody that's not dancing the same as you. You are teaching them, you are bringing them into your life and teaching them this super cool space within your life that you're like in love with already, right? I want to bring that person in and show them how to adventure differently than they are right now. Just like I want them to show up with their life and to be able to say, hey, let me take your hand and guide you into this version, into this space that I can teach you a little bit more about yourself too, right? Where I can teach you a little bit more about living. And then together, right, you have this other space that you are teaching, that you are one with one another and creating this foundation of what's next within partnership as well. To me, that would be that's like the ultimate coolest space to be in within a relationship. It's this growing, this depth, this understanding while you're also rising with one another. So I urge you, as you are stepping into the space of dating and relationships, don't put any certain expectation on anything. Allow yourself to get curious with you, get curious with the humans that you are going on these dates with, get curious into what makes you happy, right? What brings you joy? This new space of really understanding yourself that much more deeply while you are sitting across the table or, having coffee with or getting to know all these other remarkable humans in this world as well. Ultimately, I do believe that we are all here crossing paths with one another at any certain time. You even listening to this right now, to me, this is us crossing a path, right? Of like, you're the one that picked up, you're the one that pressed play, right? And I'm sitting here speaking with you, sharing with you all of this because I'm meant to teach it, to also receive it myself as I'm teaching it, and for you to listen to it and to do what you want with it. That's crossing paths at a certain time for a reason. I do believe that life is unfolding for us. And so as you are diving into this whole dating space, remember that it's all unfolding for you. And so when you're perhaps in a relationship or you're starting to date and you're not sure, just remember that you have those answers within you because only you have walked this journey up to this point right now. So I hope that helps you in all the ways, falling forward into that next space of relationships and just remembering that ultimately that luggage that you're carrying, you got to unpack that shit, take care of it, look at it, hold it in front of you and ask yourself, what am I learning from this right now too? Now, with that, please, if this hit any part of your heart, your soul, please share it with those people that you love as well. Put it into your social media, tag me so I can reshare. Remember, we are on iHeartRadio and all the other platforms that we've been on up until this moment right now too. And the biggest gift that you could do for me, oh gosh, go subscribe, go rate, go review the podcast. Please, 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 because it does make a difference, especially on Apple, on iTunes. And then please share it with those people that you love. Go in and comment within the Live Boldly Podcast Instagram page, comment underneath the LinkedIn posts, all of them, and help us to get this word out because this is a pretty freaking cool podcast. I got to tell you, I have some awesome people on and only more, it just keeps going. It just keeps going. I'm so stoked. And if there's something that you want me to talk about, please message me and I would be more than happy to dive into that discussion with all of you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, a beautiful weekend. And if you need anything at all, please reach out to me, Sara at sarashultingkranz.com. And find me on all the social medias and I'm more than happy to have a discussion with you too. I love you. Mwah. Have a wonderful rest of your day.